What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am in Columbia, Maryland, and I'm with Kraig Spence. What's up?
Hey, what's up, baby?
Good. So this is a top producer with Churchill Mortgage. What kind of volume are you doing right now?
Doing about 50 million on the average, helping about
million?
200 plus families a year.
About 25 families a month he's averaging, and how many this month do you think?
Probably about 35.
35 families. So he's busy. He's getting after it. And Churchill is an all-in client and mortgage coach. All their loan officers use mortgage coach. And I always try to get this guy to do interviews because he has the most amazing, what do we call it, mortgage coach live experience.
Yeah, that's my thing. Edge live with each and every customer. Yeah.
And so most of your customers are online. You don't meet them in person.
I meet some of them, some of the local people, but I'm licensed in 8 states in the district. So a lot of the people that I meet are in different states. So there's a need to do online presentation in the first place.
Yeah. And what he's known for here at Churchill is just what an incredible experience he brings when people aren't in the office, and how he walks the husband and a wife, or anybody looking to get a loan, how he walks them through their loan options. And he really uses Mortgage Coach well to do that. So he's promised me we're in person, so we're going to make advantage of this in-person experience. But we're going to do another 30-minute interview where we go through his live experience. So Kraig, why don't we just kick this off with, tell everybody a little bit about your practice, your main lead sources. They already know how much volume you do. And then we'll get into some scripts and strategies.
Okay, great. So I've been a mortgage professional since 2001. And Churchill is primarily a consumer direct company. So a lot of our customers come to us because we're the exclusively endorsed mortgage lender for Dave Ramsey, who has a practice of preaching debt freedom. Right. So that kind of organically finds its way throughout our practice at Churchill. And I'd say about 70% of my customers come through that channel, and the remaining 30% mainly personal referrals, realtor referrals, and a little bit financial planner.
Got it. So your unique value prop with the family is, hey, I'm going to help you get the right mortgage for you, and I'm going to help you pay off your mortgage and become debt free faster. Yeah.
So I mean, when I'm meeting somebody for the first time, that's essentially my value proposition. Yeah, that's my guiding purpose. That's my belief.
How do you say that? Just give us the scripting of what you say to the family that positions you differently than your average loan officer.
Okay, yeah. So if we'll pretend we're meeting for the first time, right?
On the phone.
Okay, on the phone. And so that's interesting to say. So most phone banking is a little different or consulting is a little different than in person, right? You can read a lot of body language. And so I make it very clear when I speak with people right up front. I'll introduce myself, say, hey, well, let me properly introduce myself to you. My name's Kraig Spence, call me Kraig, and I'm your home loan specialist here at Churchill Mortgage. And that effectively means 2 things to you, 2 really important things. One, I have license authority to actually approve you to borrow a lot of money, okay, and to qualify you for a home loan. And number 2, and more importantly, it means I have the care, the knowledge, the experience to empower you with the information you need to make the smartest decision on the biggest investment you're ever going to make. Okay. And really that's my guiding purpose. So before I get into how we do that, I want to learn as much as I can about you, your goals, your objectives, and your story. That's how I start.
I love that. And I think anybody hears him, you can just feel his passion. He truly loves to hear families' stories. I mean, it's real. And while he makes a living doing mortgage transaction, he gets life from helping families live their story better and achieve their goals. And that, I think, is what makes you special. Just the people I've interviewed who know you well.
Yes.
And you can hear it in his voice tone. Like, I help you number 1, and then I help you number 2. And this is what I'm all about. Okay, so let's do this. What are a couple of the questions that you ask that really tee up the mortgage coach experience that you put people through?
Well, that part of the talk, by the way, before I say anything about where we go, and the second I start speaking about where we're going to go, the process of how I'm going to serve you, I will take 10, 15 minutes, Dave, learning about them, learning about their objectives. Because while we may believe in debt-free home ownership and that eventually not having a mortgage inspires better financial living, and I'll make that clear that I believe in that, not all our customers will. So I really want to understand where they're at, take careful notes, and And then I'll come back and I'll ask things like, what's important to you, right? Tell me a little bit about your wealth plan. I'll ask things that some mortgage bankers may not, because I believe that a mortgage is a way to build wealth. And so after they share everything they can with me, everything that I think may be important, to at least tell them about the process, kind of going in baby steps, try not to overwhelm too much. I'll say, okay, well, let me just tell you a little bit about how the process is going to go. And a lot of this is really teeing up the mortgage coach experience, right? But the first step, I'll say, okay, so the first step that we'll do is I'll take about 25, 30 minutes with you on the phone, which we can do right now if you'd like, or in person. And I'm going to get all the information I really need to know about your assets, your income, and your budget, your time expectancy in the home, all the things that are really going to empower me with the information I need to make the right loan recommendation to your family. Okay. And that's a really important call for me. That's my most important call. Okay. Throughout this whole process. Not going to be a lot of fun for you, but it'll be cool. And then the second call is going to be really fun. Okay. That call, now mind you, I usually don't have I only have either the husband or the wife on the first call. And I'm a big believer that the mortgage is the biggest financial decision people are ever going to make in their life. I think it's a fact. And so when I start talking about step 2, and in fact, up front, I'll ask, do you have your husband, do you have your wife with you before I tell them anything about us? It'll be the very first question I ask. Usually not the case. Sometimes it is. When I speak about the second step, and I'll say the first step, you guys don't both have to be there. It's great if you are. I really want to get moving on getting information as quick as I can. But the second call, we're going to set up at a time where you guys are going to be together and you're going to be in front of a computer. We could use your phones, but I really recommend you're in front of a computer. You don't have to have cameras. It's nice if you do. Okay. And
so do you use Zoom? I mean, do you use things like that?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. If they're open, they're willing. I found a lot of people at that point are not always as comfortable doing it.
Right.
So, so most of the time I don't actually.
It's phone and computer, but you really want to drive the computer experience, or they're looking at the TCA on their mobile device.
Yeah. So to be clear, 100% of my customers go through Edge Live.
Okay.
Not
Mortgage Coach Live.
Yeah. 100%. And so when I talk about the second experience, I said, so we'll set that up at a time where you and your husband, you and your wife are going to be together in front of a computer. And at that talk, I'm going to share with you a live presentation online where you'll see me kind of clicking around the screen and explaining one option versus the next, showing you pros and cons and how we're going to integrate the mortgage into your financial strategy.
Love that. So, I can't wait. So guys, this is part 1. I'm releasing it now. Within a few weeks, I will pin Kraig down and we will do his actual live experience. I have seen it before. I mean, it's magic. I mean, every consumer is going, wow, I never thought of it that way before. Yeah. So we're going to do that. Takeaway for everybody listening to this right now, you can tell that he's in control. He's like, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is the process. And 100% of my clients are on the phone or the computer. That's why you have the best conversion rates in Churchill, don't you? I mean, you have you have a lead to you have a loan. It's a very high percentage.
Yeah.
From what I've been told, it's the highest in Churchill, and they have a very high conversion industry-wide. So Kraig has a process that is money. It's 2 steps. A lot of loan officers will just kind of every client treat it differently. No, he's treating every client custom, tailored, personalized, but he's taking them all through a similar process. One question, and then I want to get into a TCA. Do you ask people, how old do you want to be when your home's paid off?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
big time.
Big question to ask in that discovery. How old do you want to be when your home's paid off? And then usually it's well, I want to be 50, but based off the mortgage I'm getting, I'm going to be 60. So you've created that gap. So everybody watching this, key question, you should ask that of every client because 1, it's different. Most loan officers don't ask that question. And 2, now when you give advice, you can actually do it tailored to their goals, not your goal for them. Yeah. Anything else before we get into a TCA?
Well, again, we're going to keep the talk short today, but I get into all those questions during the consultation. I never call it an application, by the way. So during the consultation. That's when I'll really get all that information. So I won't drill people. I'll just, little things come on. We're talking about retirement funds. Yeah, very conversational. So just a very relaxed, a customer-focused way to deliver the experience. And a big takeaway there, this is a human business. And so Mortgage Coach is a way to kind of deepen that human experience, right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing that I really love about it. So when I tell people I'm going to empower you with the information you need to make the best decision on your biggest investment, that's not a catchphrase. That's not some hollow, pretty sounding sentence. I really mean that. And I tell them, if I don't deliver that to you, then I failed, So I set high expectations, and then I deliver on those high expectations. So that's really the setup of the second call. And then I also tell them the second call, I say, hey, when we speak, I'm also going to tell you about how we're going to help you, find your home through the best home search app that exists in the market. And then I'm going to tell you how we're going to help you win your home in the market as well. So
let's do the scripting on that, because I know you guys use HBM, and you guys do a great job of getting people to download that app and take them out of whatever app they're using and get them into your app experience.
Yeah, huge value.
So let's do this. I'm going to pull up a TCA in just a second. I'm going to actually stand out of the screen and let you kind of just talk to the Mortgage Coach community, walk them through with you. Okay. Let's start with a purchase, because this is where you're going to use your HBM script at the same time. And so what do you say before they click on the link? Because in a minute, they're going to see the consumer experience.
Yeah.
What does that sound like before that client clicks on the link to see the consumer experience?
Okay, so I'll embed it in the email, right? I'll take the Mortgage Coach link, and then
love to see an email.
And then I'll edit it, and then I'll hit here, right? Click here. You never see the Mortgage Coach, link there. And so they click here, and when it comes up, of course, I'll always tell them that disclosure, what that is, and as they get beyond the disclosure, they will go into the report, which can come up a couple different ways, right? So one thing I always ask is, because it doesn't always come up the same way, so little tidbit, is your summary scrolling down the middle of the screen, or do you see it on the left-hand side with your graphs on the right? Can you explain to me?
Get them bearing. And just so everybody is clear on what he's talking about, there's a couple different views where you can switch views, and it can look like this. Gotta love that social survey integration right there. And then it could look like this. Is this the way you want it?
No. So I have a particular.
So you want it.
It like kind of depends how much information I have to share. So this will get into when we go a little bit more in how the live presentation goes. It's important for everybody to understand, I think, that if you're a consumer and someone showed you this screen for the first time, you're like, your mind's blown. And further, you're going to start looking where you want on the screen. So it's really important that you kind of control the experience at that point, which is why Edge Live is so great.
By the way, we call it Mortgage Coach Live now.
Mortgage Coach Live. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I've been a user for a long time. I go back.
I love it. It's all good. It's Mortgage Coach Live for y'all.
Mortgage Coach
Live. All right. So I'm going to actually step out of the screen for just 2 minutes and walk people through this purchase, experience. Oh, this is the existing refi. So let's go over to this one. I think this is the purchase. I'll put it in the zone you want it. And just kind of walk people through what this is, what you typically highlight, and then we'll save a full experience for the next time. So feel free to move that around.
Okay. Well, without being able to highlight it, I'm going to be a little bit of a fish out of water here, as I am with your mouse. But if you're looking at it,
actually touch the screen.
Oh, touch it. There you go.
Yeah, and then you can just click on things.
All right, cool. So in a case like this was a customer who had called in. I do a lot of VA business, and it's a big part of my referral base is serving the veteran community. So in this particular case, we had someone reach out to us, actually spoken with another lender who offered him a conventional loan. He had the understanding that was the best mortgage for him, where the complexity of this and what it will show you on the screen is that if he does a 30-year mortgage, the short of it is a VA is a better option. Puts enough of a down payment down, the VA funding fee gets cut down. That was not the part that the previous mortgage professional had explained to him. So the VA is a cheaper, more cost-effective option, as the short-term and the long-term would both show.
I'm just showing a couple of the breakdowns because Craig's not used to the Apple.
Yeah, I'm not used to the Apple, and I'm really not used to like the consumer side of it. So typically what I would typically do here is I would not show it like this. I would start by actually showing the 30-year conventional, because that's what he thought was the best. And then I would say, okay, see, here's how we compared it, whomever else you spoke to. Now, I want to show you what the best recommendation is for you. Now, when I say that to people, I don't say, I want to show you, I want to get your feedback, see what you think. This is fact, right? We're sharing an x-ray that's showing exactly what the best prescription is going to be to manage their, certain mortgage goals. So on the 30-year VA option right here, it's a lower rate, ultimately a similar cost. If you go down to a 15-year option, funny enough, it flip-flops because, of course, 15-year VA rates are very similar to 30-year VA rates. So on the 15-year conventional, this is interesting because I actually showed not the par conventional rate. The VA comes with a 1.25% funding fee. So I said, hey, what if you took that same 1.25% funding fee and took it and bought down points? You'd have basically the same cost and you'd have a loan that was 0.3% cheaper. And
how about this? Do you mention the social survey at all? Is that just something you leave for them to think about on their own, or is there any breadcrumb that you put there for them?
I'm very intentional about sharing links from early in the conversation, just saying, hey, if you want to read what other people say about us, the good and the bad, here you go. It comes up here in such a big way that I don't focus on it too much. I do say, hey, if you did want to read more about my team here, feel free to click that and you guys could read for days. That's about all I'll say.
So first of all, I think that is good scripting because I see some loan officers, they overplay that. And first of all, you're in a really powerful sales conversation right now. You've got their hopes and dreams, you're presenting their options, you're in very high trust, high authority position. And I do think calling it out, letting them know that, hey, here's a great place to learn more about myself and my team. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool script. But don't overplay it, but shine a light on it. And anything else that and again, we're going to do the full interview, so I know this is awkward because you have a consistent way you're always doing it.
Yes.
And this is more of like a show and tell.
Yes.
But is there anything else you think we should just cover in this quick show and tell?
Not so much. I mean, basically giving people options. You do a lot of interviews with people and people have a lot of different opinions and how many mortgage options do you share? And what's that breaking point where you can overwhelm a customer? And I believe there's truth in that.
Oh, for sure, there's truth.
But if you listen close enough to your customer, if you're listening, taking notes and being customer focused, you don't have to show many options. You only show the relevant ones to them. And so these were the relevant ones to this family who, by the way, we ended up doing a 15-year conventional loan. That ended up being the route we went here.
Yeah. So and takeaway for everybody, he starts with 1, shows 2, and he does it in a tailored way. Because remember, you're here to give advice they can't get on Google. You're here to give advice that every other loan officer I've ever talked to has never delivered advice this clean and this tight. So let's do a quick refi analysis.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at it in this view or do you want to do it in the other view?
This view's good. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So tell us the story behind the family.
Yeah.
And then tell us what you presented, and I'll do the clicking around on it.
Okay. Yeah. Good idea. So this customer was actually a repeat customer of mine. I've helped him buy 2 homes and refinance once before, going back many years. So we had just helped him finance his home in, I want to say December. If we scroll down, we can see the freedom point. I think it was December that we bought the home. And a big thing I do, and part of my commitment to a family up front that plays into my commitment to help them build wealth through homeownership, is I tell them, look, I am going to proactively manage your mortgage. Your mortgage is an investment vehicle. It's not a static vehicle. It's attached to markets that are very dynamic. And if an opportunity arises for you to save money, I am not going to call out to sell that to you. But I am going to call out to provide information and empower you with the details to know if you're missing on an opportunity to save. And I'm all over that. So for this particular individual, 4.75 was where we closed on a 20-year back in December. And I saw an opportunity to take him down to a 20-year. And the killer thing about him, look at the property value, 402, 500. When we bought the home, he put a pool into his home. So he built a pool. He was paying mortgage insurance. He was on a 20-year loan. So we actually started this looking at a 20-year option. And if you see the savings, $226.58. I always want to show people the true wealth impact. What does that really mean? And if you're just looking at the column in the lower right-hand corner, that's really not giving you an apples to apples comparison if you're just representing the 20-year without reinvesting that difference to hit your freedom point quicker and save more money. So I'll make that very clear as I'm going over it with people. So the real wealth impact in the apples to apples comparison is hit that reduction payment back on top of the principal. Right. I've seen some people call that principal reduction, right?
Yeah, it looks like you haven't put it in this particular example, but guys, we'll do it in the next one where you actually apply the reinvestment and
the reduction payment.
Oh, I got it.
So I actually put a separate column. So I'll say, look, here's if you just stay, put, and I'll do that, Dave, because not everybody wants to do that. He may have some other, I think for him, he had some other debt out there. So I said, look, you could just pay your minimum payments, take that extra $200+ and you're still going to come out ahead.
Right.
You could waste that money every month. We don't want you to do that. We want you to reinvest it somewhere and snowball some debt. But then I said, or you can keep making the same payments you're making. Appraisal came back even higher than where we expected, by the way. I came back and said, look, we spoke about a 15-year initially. So I came back and I updated a 15-year 3.625. And this is another great example of, this became a little more affordable now that we had no mortgage insurance on the new 20-year. Right. And I said, we need to, Mr. Customer, we need to look back at that 15-year. And this was a game plan going in. We had no idea where to appraise. We said, if it appraises high, let's talk about 15-year. So I show them the 3.625, but this also shows how we can, and this may be one of the hardest things to communicate to a customer without analytics behind it, but when does a buy down make sense? What's your time expectancy in the home? And explaining to people that every rate tranche has a different price attached to it. So right now, really the most cost-effective rate is a 3.125%. He's basically only paying 1 point to go from a 3.625 to 3.125. So I showed him what that would look like, required a little bit more cash out of pocket, but look at the savings over 60 months. You're able to very easily show someone the break even. I said, look, you're able to save about $5,000 extra over that 5-year period. And when you guys are going over that, just make sure people know that this is already taking cost into account. You have to reiterate that with the customer, because sometimes people mentally will go, oh, I have to back out that $4,000. No, understand that's already baked into that savings right there. And I'll typically I'll do this all live and in chunks. And I'll say, look, if it was 3 years, and I'll take it down to 3 years, and I'll say, look, you're saving the same amount of money. Are you leaving the home in 3 years? No. Do you have the possible extra few grand to buy this rate? I have it. Okay. Well, then I'll show what the most cost-effective measure is.
Log into Mortgage Coach real quick. I want to see something on this. And pull up this customer, if you could. So, guys, I want to do a little bit of a debrief, kind of a, summarize what we've talked about here. So, Kraig, first of all, he's got a unique value prop at the point of sale. He is differentiating himself as, I'm not just a loan officer to help you with your financial transaction. I am a debt manager, and I'm here to help you pay off your mortgage faster through the advice that I'm going to provide you. He's always doing two-step process, so he's always doing a discovery call with the client and then doing a very specific presentation call with the client. He's showing a lot of leadership in the way that he wants both decision makers, husband, wife, couple, whoever's involved in making this decision. I want to have you both on the phone at the same time, and I want you both in front of a computer at the same time. And then he is walking them through a presentation. And we're going to do a separate call on that. I will have a link down below. So if you're watching this tomorrow, you're not going to see the link. If you're watching this 2 weeks from now, it'll be a 2-part series. This will be part 1 of how Kraig Spence helps people pay off their home faster through a mortgage coach experience. So he's always asking people, how old do you want to be when you're debt free? Whether it's a purchase, whether it's a refi, he's always getting into that conversation, and every family's getting a total cost analysis. Another key point, he had mentioned earlier that you often, or jump back in, that you're not usually doing a video up front because you're doing the live experience, but it's not uncommon that you will do the video afterwards or in different situations. Is this it, by the way?
That is it. Yeah, it's on live now.
Okay.
Right. I unclicked all the boxes for now, but
yeah. Well, I was gonna actually change this. So by the way, guys, I don't know if you noticed the change there. Oh wait.
I had all the boxes unclicked real quick.
Oh.
I'm unclicking it back.
Yeah, put them back.
By the way, this is how I would start a consultation with someone before I talk about any mortgage refinance options. That's how I would start.
Actually, that's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
it threw me off. Put him back, and then actually, did you guys notice that? Like, we're going to change this live. We've got his computer in our hand. We're making changes, and you're looking at the Mortgage Coach screen. Put the three of the options that you had before. Mm-hmm. So he is building those options that are in here, but then he's just checking them or unchecking them. Mm-hmm. No, watch, they're going to come back up here in just a second. So they came back up, and you'll notice what I did is I did the net worth. I changed it to net worth.
Right.
So, and do you kind of toggle back and forth between, hey, here's the full interest cost, and here's the net worth based off what's important to the client?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I focus more on the interest or MI savings.
So put that back real quick. Okay. And then we're going to net this out, guys. We've showed you a purchase. We've showed you a refi. The takeaway is whether you're doing a purchase or a refi, with Kraig and his team and what he's doing, it's always about, I'm going to help you make a mortgage decision that helps you pay off your house faster and helps you build net worth faster. Mm-hmm. So this is the one you typically do.
That's the one I typically do. Exactly.
You guys all notice that change right down here? Before your eyes, he was, moving that. What do customers say when they see that? Like when you're talking and they're like, what's the typical response?
So some people get freaked out by it. So occasionally people will be like, oh, you're my computer. People actually think that sometimes. So I will have to sometimes say, I'm not in your computer. Generally it's, oh man, this is really cool. I deal with a lot of software people too. So people look at it and go, oh man, this software is just killer. They're always blown away by it. I mean, 100% of the time. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I actually think that like I have to tone it. I have to dumb it. I hate to use the term, dumb it down a little sometimes.
Simplify.
I place a lot of focus on keeping it simple. That's why I put in one column at a time. Again, I reiterate, when I would be showing this to somebody, I'd be doing one column starting with, if you do nothing, here's what it looks like today. Right. Let's look at another option. Let's look at, and I'll feed it in digestible kind of chunks to the people so they can, really get it, because sometimes the experience is, man, if you don't do that, people can really get overwhelmed by this because this is not what they're getting. They're thinking this is supposed to be transactional. That's all they've experienced elsewhere. They're not expecting you to propose something different. So sometimes it blows people away. So I really take it at their pace.
And the takeaway is keep it simple, do it in chunks. Too much information is just as dangerous to the value that you give the consumer is too little information. You need to give them the right amount of information, and you need to do it in stages. So that's a takeaway. I'm looking forward to our next interview. Yeah. So let's wrap this up with my last question. Once upon a time, you were not a top producer.
Right.
You hadn't even closed 10 loans a month once upon a time. And so there's a lot of new loan officers coming into the business. And there's a lot of loan officers that just have never closed 10 loans in a single month. Mm-hmm. They've been struggling. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for someone, call it your younger self?
Yes.
Or that loan officer before he got to that 10 loan a month milestone? What advice do you have for people that are sitting
Well, it's everything that we're talking about today, really. It's don't look at this as a transactional business. Don't believe that you're in the sales business. You have much more in common with a good doctor than a good salesman, I believe. I truly believe that. I believe that's fact.
So it is fact for you.
That's how you roll. Absolutely. And I'll make doctor analogies all the time with people, and when they get confused by things, I'll explain, well, here's how it works in the doctor's office, here's how it works in my office. Because I think our feedback is that bad. A bad mortgage can kill you. And so
look at this guy.
It's true. I could go on for this for like 10 minutes.
So we're going to have to do doctor quotes. Josh Metal, I'm going to forward this to you. Yeah. Josh specializes in loans for doctors. Oh, and so awesome. If you Google physician doctors, Josh Metal is going to come up. But I love that. A good mortgage person has a lot more in common with than a doctor.
I've never said that before, by the way. So
it's a good quote. It's a good quote.
But
a bad mortgage will kill you.
Yeah, and we're financial physicians. We really are. So we have to treat our business with the same type of integrity. And so with that, I would going back to the first big thing. Just always do the right thing. Always leave people better for the encounter. There is such thing as karma, I believe. Mortgage karma is very real. So today I had about 6 consultations. I was telling you about them earlier. Most of them, all I did was educate. And I'm here for later. And at the end of those calls, I said, hey, if you know anybody else that could really benefit from this experience, please send it my way, because I'm able to deliver this because I'm not out beating the streets. I depend on referrals from people like you. So always do the right thing and always leave people better for the experience without any expectation of recompense. And the second thing is, as you connect with people, and this is a big one. As you connect with people, stay connected, right? Put them into your database, have a committed follow-up method, and understand this is an annuity type of a business, right? If you help somebody once up front, that person could be doing, I don't know, what do they say, 7 or 8 mortgages in their life. Really make the effort to provide a valuable experience to them, not just now, but forever. Stay committed to that family.
I love it. I love it. So that was great advice. Josh, if you want to reach out to this guy, he looks like someone you get along with. For any new loan officer, just heard that. That was incredible advice. Give good advice and stay connected with people. If you got a takeaway, give this a like. If you loved it, give it a love. Share it with your mortgage friends. And let's hold Kraig accountable to doing a full Mortgage Coach Live experience within the next couple of weeks.
It'll be my pleasure, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Hope you guys got value from today's interview. Take care, y'all.